January 1st. A new year, fresh promises. Quiet streets glowing with leftover Christmas lights. But in one English town, the celebration was about to end in blood. Teachers are meant to guide, protect, and shape young minds. We trust them with our children. We welcome them into our communities. But sometimes, the classroom hides secrets far darker than anyone imagines. Tonight, we uncover 5 real cases where respected British teachers crossed a line they could never return from. From jealousy and obsession to lies, manipulation, and murder. These are not stories of strangers. These are stories of people who once stood at the front of classrooms. Case 1, Reys Hancock, from headteacher to killer, Round Pushbin, Duffield, Derbyshire, January 1st, 2020. While most of Britain slept off New Year celebrations, a quiet street in Duffield was moments away from becoming a crime scene that would horrify the nation. Reys Hancock was 40 years old, a former headteacher, a father of 3, a man once trusted to lead a school. But in the early hours of New Year's Day, something inside him snapped. At his mother's home in Ewell, Hancock spoke words that froze her blood. "I feel like I want to kill them." He was talking about his estranged wife, Helen Hancock, and her new partner, Martin Griffiths. His mother tried to calm him, tried to reason with him, but when she reached for the phone to call police, Hancock unplugged the landline. Then he searched for her mobile phone. This wasn't impulse. This was control. Just after 4 a.m., his mother finally managed to call emergency services, her voice shaking as she warned them her son had taken knives and driven away. But help was already too late. 10 miles away in Duffield, Hancock parked outside the home he once shared with his family. The back door was unlocked. He walked upstairs. Helen and Martin were asleep. What followed lasted only minutes, but the violence was unimaginable. Helen was stabbed 66 times. Martin was stabbed 37 times. One knife was left buried inside Helen's body. At 4:26 a.m., Hancock called 999 himself. "I've just stabbed them. There's blood everywhere." When police arrived minutes later, they found Hancock outside, his shirt soaked in blood. "I'm hardly going to deny it," he said. "Look at me." Inside, paramedics described the scene as the most violent they had seen in decades. The investigation revealed chilling preparation. He unplugged phones, took knives from his mother's kitchen, even predicted he'd get 25 or 30 years in prison. At Derby Crown Court, Hancock pleaded guilty to both murders. No excuses, no insanity defense, just cold admission. The judge sentenced him to life imprisonment with a minimum of 31 years. She told him, "You planned this. You deprived your children of their mother. No sentence can repair that damage." Duffield was left shattered. Helen was remembered as warm, energetic, and devoted to her students. Martin as kind and gentle. And Britain was left asking the same question. How did no one stop this? Especially when Hancock had already been arrested for assaulting his wife just 2 months earlier. This case became a brutal reminder. Ignored warning signs don't disappear. They explode. But Hancock wasn't the only teacher hiding darkness. Years earlier, another educator would commit murder and then calmly live beside the body for weeks. Case 2, Andrew Lindo, the man who lied after murder, in West Yorkshire, December 18, 2010. 2 small children slept upstairs. Downstairs, their mother was dying. Andrew Lindo was 29 years old, a music teacher, charming, intelligent, well-spoken, engaged to Marie Stewart, a devoted mother and special needs worker. To outsiders, their life looked normal, but behind closed doors, Lindo was living a double life. Multiple girlfriends, false names, separate stories for separate women. According to prosecutors, he was an exceptional liar. On a cold December night, an argument erupted between Lindo and Marie. What happened next was savage. Lindo strangled her. When she showed signs of life, he struck her with a child's chair, choked her with a belt, then stabbed her 12 times. The attack moved through the house, from bedroom to lower floors, while the children slept just feet away. After killing her, Lindo didn't panic. He cleaned himself, comforted the children, then zipped Marie's body into a large suitcase and hid it in the basement garage. That same night, he texted another woman and went out with her. For 7 weeks, Lindo lived normally. He used Marie's phone to send messages pretending she'd left him. Posted on her Facebook, told friends she'd moved abroad, but her family noticed the lies didn't add up. On February 13th, 2011, police searched the house. In the garage, they found Marie's decomposing body. The jury needed less than 1 hour to convict him of murder. The judge called his actions ruthless, cruel, and chilling. Lindo was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum of 22 years. Even seasoned detectives admitted they were disturbed by how calmly he carried on after the killing. Marie's children lost both parents in one night, and Britain was reminded of a terrifying truth. Sometimes the most dangerous people aren't violent all the time. They're convincing. When we left off, we'd seen how jealousy and lies destroyed entire families. But the darkness inside Britain's classrooms didn't stop there, because sometimes it isn't rage or deception that turns deadly. It's obsession. Case 3. Matthew Jones, when rejection turns violent. Bath, Somerset, February 26, 2024. It was meant to be a simple meeting. A quiet lane, a brief conversation, an exchange of belongings. 2 teachers, 2 former partners. Matthew Jones was 29 years old. Polite, dependable, no criminal history. Emma Kirk was 25. His colleague, the woman who had ended their short relationship. She told him clearly it was over, but Jones refused to accept it. In the months after the breakup, his messages became constant, then unsettling, then frightening. At one point, Emma sent him a message that would later haunt the courtroom. "You terrify me." On that February afternoon, Jones insisted they meet so she could return the gifts he'd given her. Wanting closure, Emma agreed. That decision nearly cost her life. Without warning, Jones pulled out a knife. He dragged her by the hair, forced her to the ground, and stabbed her 15 times. Her neck, her face, her lungs. Witnesses heard screams echo through the street. 5 men, strangers, rushed in, risking their lives to pull him away. Even then, he wouldn't let go. When police arrived, Jones was calm, covered in blood. As officers restrained him, he said quietly, "Don't show me respect, I'm a monster." Emma was rushed to hospital. She spent days in a coma. Surgeons later said her survival was nothing short of a miracle. In court, Jones tried to claim self-defense. Forensic evidence destroyed that lie. The judge called the attack mercilessly ferocious. Jones was sentenced to 16 years, with extended supervision. Emma survived, but her life was forever changed. This case reignited a national conversation about stalking, obsession, and how often warning signs are ignored until it's almost too late. But obsession can take another form. Sometimes it doesn't explode in public. Sometimes it plans quietly. Case 4. Fiona Beal, the teacher who buried her lover. Northampton, November 1st, 2021. Fiona Beal was a primary school teacher, 50 years old, 17 years in the classroom. Trusted, calm, ordinary. Behind that calm was a secret journal. In it, she wrote about a second version of herself, an alter ego she called Tulip 22. Fearless, efficient, ruthless. Her partner, Nicholas Billingham, had been unfaithful. Their relationship was crumbling. Instead of leaving, Beal began planning. She ordered knives, cable ties, a concrete mix. Then she faked a positive COVID test to ensure isolation and privacy. On the night of November 1st, she told Nicholas to take a bath, promised intimacy afterwards. When he lay down, she asked him to wear an eye mask. Then she stabbed him in the neck. His final word was simple: "Why?" What followed was chilling precision. She wrapped his body in plastic, dragged it downstairs, dug a grave beside the house. Concrete, breeze blocks, decorative stones. For 4 months, Nicholas lay buried just feet from where she slept. During that time, Beal sent messages from his phone, told his family he'd left her, invited his mother into the house for Christmas drinks, while her son lay beneath the garden. Her secret only came out after she attempted suicide. Police found her journals, full confessions. At the Old Bailey, the judge said, "You buried him like building waste." Beal was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 20 years. The community was stunned. A teacher, a planner, a killer hiding in plain sight. But decades before Beal, Another teacher committed a crime so carefully staged that it fooled police for nearly 20 years. Case 5. Hazel Stewart, Faith, Lies, and a Double Murder. Castle Rock, Northern Ireland, May 19, 1991. A car sat inside a closed garage. Inside were two bodies, a police officer and a nurse, hands clasped, a gospel cassette playing. Police believed it was a suicide pact. They were wronged. Hazel Stewart was 28 years old, a Sunday school teacher, a devoted churchgoer. She was having an affair with Colin Howell, a dentist and lay preacher. Together, they decided their spouses were obstacles. On the night of the murders, Hazel drugged her husband, Constable Trevor Buchanan, and left the door unlocked. Howell arrived with a hose connected to his car exhaust. Hazel stayed upstairs. Afterward, she helped destroy the evidence. They then murdered Howell's wife the same way. The bodies were placed together to stage a tragic ending. For nearly 2 decades, no one suspected a thing. Hazel cried at the funeral. Howell preached forgiveness. They rebuilt their lives, until guilt finally broke Howell. In 2009, he confessed. Hazel Stewart was arrested. At trial, she claimed fear and coercion. The jury didn't believe her. She was convicted of 2 murders and sentenced to life imprisonment. In 2025, her final appeal was rejected. She remains behind bars, a reminder that sometimes the most convincing masks are worn in places of faith, trust, and classrooms. 5 teachers, 5 lives of trust destroyed. These cases force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Evil doesn't always look dangerous. Sometimes it looks educated, calm, respectable, behind chalkboards and lesson plans. These individuals hid rage, obsession, and deceit until it was too late. Which case shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to uncover more hidden truths, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in Britain, even the most trusted faces can hide the darkest stories